All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Superspeedway series here tonight at Talladega. This is going to be our regular season finale, so I'll say it's all going to kind of come out to play, see how it shakes out tonight. Apologies, had to fix a couple of issues there. Yeah, so say it's going to come down to this evening to see who's going to be in that top 8 of the point standings for tonight. So with that, let's go ahead and pull up our standings entering tonight's event. So right now you see the top 8 currently listed as Raymond Rittenauer, Gabe Butler as our top 2. Eric Laurie sitting there in 3rd. Then you got Dean Wilkinson with the big win last week. Todd Siebels, Charles Johnson, Todd Merkel, Jim Brooks showing as our top 8. However, again, we talked about the approach of this season, win and you advance. So there's a couple guys that are out of the number that are locked in. So you look there in 9th position, you see Dale Willoughby, he has a win. Kevin Freeze in 10th. And even Kevin Hash, you see down there in right now 14th position. That win should be propelling him into that top 8 as well. So say there's going to be a few drivers probably a little further down in the points that they want to be. This is going to be something that they need to try to see if they can get that win to propel themselves into that top 8 performance here tonight. So I'll have to wait and see exactly how that's going to pan out this evening after qualifying finishes up. So say trying to base it off the wins here, Dale. And I'm saying looking at the numbers, so locked in should be in theory then Raymond Rittenauer, Gabe Butler, Dean Wilkinson, Dale Willoughby, Kevin Freeze, Kevin Hash, which would give us 6 of the 8. Which at the moment would then leave, I believe, Todd Siebels and Eric Laurie as the next 2 to get in on points, it looks like.
Yeah, and Eric Laurie's, done very well this season, just being consistent, being there when he needs to. Hasn't won a race yet, but solidly sitting in 3rd place. So I mean, I don't see how he doesn't make it in mathematically at this point.
Yeah, so that's the other part too. Is right now Eric Laurie sitting in 3rd with 201 points. And I'd say his closest competitor on the point side of things, Todd Siebels, 184. So right there, I mean, you got a 17-point difference between the two of them. So yeah, definitely Eric looking pretty good here, as I believe qualifying just about to finish up here. Got about a minute left, it looks like. But yeah, so I'll say the other thing though here tonight again, Dale, is we got a lot of new names, a lot of new faces still making their first couple of starts in this league. So say hopefully it doesn't come into play and affect the outcome of this race, but we've seen crazier things happen as well. So let's say hopefully it doesn't come into play, but it'll be very interesting to see how this affects the final 8 drivers for this Final 4 shootout.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last week had a large field. Narrower track, obviously being Daytona, so I'm interested to see what the big field can do here on the big track.
Yeah, I'm spot on with you there as well. It's going to be really exciting to see kind of what we have in store for us tonight here at Talladega. I say this is definitely, I think, going to be a race that third line really going to be coming into play. I think we're going to have roughly about 25 drivers taking the green here tonight. So yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it's all going to pan out this evening. So say just about completed qualifying here. And then we'll go ahead and get over our starting grid for tonight's event. All right, qualifying has just completed. So on pole position is going to be the number 23 of Sebastian Marin. And if you look at the time there, Dale, it went to the tens of thousands of seconds there because you see a 0.00 between himself and Kevin Freeze. Raymond Rittenauer 3rd, 8 thousandths off, 12 thousandths for Eric Laurie. And you have Steve Krosek there in 5th. Matt Quick 6th, Kevin Hash 7th, you got Jack Walls, Paul Sheldon, Robert DuPont rounding out our top 10. 11th and 12th, you got Quabi Brooks, Joseph Morales. I'll continue down the grid here. You got Bradley Green in 13th, Bud Steele, Jackson Holbrook, Charles Johnson, Mark Mastraya, Dylan Hale, Jay Hilliard, Gabe Butler in 20th, and actually the first of those opting not to put down a qualifying lap. And 21st, all these drivers opting not to put laps down. You got Alberto Lopez, Jim Brooks, James Hickson, Todd Siebels, and then Dave Thatcher going to be in that 25th position here this evening. So kind of a mixed bag of those who wanted to put a lap down and those who did not. It's going to be, again, very interesting to see kind of what's going to be the best approach here, because, again, there is some potential for trying to point your way in here tonight. So we'll see if that comes into play this evening as well, as we wait for the remainder of the field to join the grid. And indeed, it looks like 25 cars going to be taking part of this one tonight.
Yeah, and just looking at the starting grid, going to get it out of the way early. We always talk about them, but Team Bootnocker starting 1, 2, and 3 on the top line. So second, fourth, and sixth. And I think that puts Sebastian Marin at a big disadvantage, going green and then on lap 1.
Yeah, I think for that 23 car, he's going to have to try to find a way to get that 27 locked onto him as quick as possible so they can work together. And that's the other thing too. That was actually, I'll say that 23 car, so kind of changing the guard a little bit, if you will, on the qualifying side of things. So it looks like we have some more super speedway kind of drivers that are able to work some magic here and kind of put some competition to this Team Bootnocker. So going to be a lot of fun to see. Surprisingly, this is going to be, I don't think it's going to go over well here, Dale. That 20 car, Alberto Lopez, actually looks like going to start from pit lane here. Oh, actually, I believe that's actually a penalty from last week, if I'm not mistaken. I think this penalty for that was to start from the pits, now that I think about it. So I think that's what you see with that 20 car, having to serve that penalty here tonight.
Yeah, I believe you're right. But back to, talking about that 23 car real quick, one of the things I want to point out, when you're new to a league, this is his second race. To start up front like that, I mean, that's kind of making a statement.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that's going to be the question now, is after, obviously, we have tonight, and then we got the 4 playoff races, and then we go into probably a couple weeks off, and then back to probably the next segment. Will we see these guys run the full segment next season? So I said that could be a lot of fun as well. I think it definitely the competition might be ramping up a little bit, because we see they had qualifying pace, but we saw last week too, they were able to kind of control the pace for a good chunk of that race last week. So it's gonna be really interesting to see kind of how this one pans out tonight, with that third lane coming into play as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be it. Last week at Daytona, you can go 3 wide, but it's pretty much a 2-lane racetrack. It's about, the racing surface is about 40 feet from line to wall, which is very similar to Charlotte, and you don't see a whole lot of people going 3 wide at Charlotte.
No, usually when you do, it doesn't end very well. So hopefully it won't be the case here tonight. However, though, again, going to be 75 laps is the scheduled race distance this evening. So I always have that potential for the green-white checkered attempts 3 if we have a late caution. So we'll have to see if that comes into play tonight. But it's going to be the front row of Sebastian Marin, Kevin Fries. Behind them, Raymond Rittenauer, Eric Laurie, Steve Korosik, Matt Quick in 6th, as we wait for that green flag to fly, and we will get things underway here tonight at Talladega as they come through the tri-oval, waiting for that green flag to fly. And it is down and away. We are underway here tonight at Talladega. 75 laps is race distance.
Not a good start in either line, really. You saw, it looked like Raymond Rittenauer kind of anticipated and then had to back off, and Eric Laurie, the same thing.
Yeah, so it's one of those things you kind of want to try to jump the gun a little bit if you can, but yeah, you're right though. What that does do, though, is you see that outside line starting to form here quickly. Surprisingly, though, you see, believe that's the 27 of Steve Korosik there on the top side as well. Really thought we'd see him try to find a way to the bottom as quick as possible. But you see, almost synchronized. Oh, close call there, actually. So that was Steve Korosik trying to squeeze in front of his teammate there in the 27 car. It's the 23 car of Sebastian Marin. Very close between the two of them there.
Yeah, Ray Rittenauer and Kevin Fries able to get out of line, get together rather, and drop down to lead this first lap here.
Yeah, so we'll see if they actually get it at the line. It looks like just by a nose is going to be that 87 cars. Now on the top side here, you've got the 56 of Paul Sheldon pushing the 27 of Steve Korosik. So right now these two definitely starting to make some moves here. And I'm saying, again, I don't think we'll see too much of a third line as of yet, but as I say that, actually, here comes the 6 of Bud Steele. I think Bud's going to try to lead the top side here as they come down the backstretch.
Yeah, you look at it, you got Bud Steele leading, Gabe Butler, Charles Johnson, then Todd Siebels. Bud Steele, Charles Johnson, Todd Siebels are usually the 3 I go to start. that third line. So not shocked at all to see them all three up there together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I said I was a little surprised to see the one of Gabe Butler opt to start from the, or I should say, not take a qualifying lap. But you see, he's wasting no time. He decided, you know what? Even though I'm starting mid-pack here, I'm going to go ahead and just push straight to the front here. I mean, he has given that 6 car pretty much all he can handle there. So as he's worked his way up to now pretty much being side by side here, almost 3 wide here for the front row.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen a lot out of Gabe, is just his ability to get on somebody's bumper and demand they move forward whether they want to or not.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any issues from that 6 of Bud Steele. You know he's going to want to try to work his way forward if he gets the opportunity here. Do need to mention, say, was a little bit of I'm not sure if it was a connection issue or what. Something happened to the 51 of Jim Brooks. So I think now just leaving the pits here, but it's going to put him multiple laps down. I believe at least 3 down here. So he's going to probably get swallowed up here by the lead pack here, unfortunately. So maybe he can team up and kind of lock on with Alberto Lopez to minimize the damage. But he was one of those drivers that was in a potential spot to make it into that final 8. So unfortunately at this point, though, he's going to have to hope for a lot of luck with cautions to get him back into this.
Looking at the positions as they come by, Bud Steele already up 9 spots, but Gabe Butler's up 13.
Yeah, saying they're working on trying to get it to where they can lead or be up spots where they got the 1 and 2 if they can. But you see, I think the 1 car had to back off a little bit, save a little bit of temperature. I say cool down that car. Oil, water temps, always ones they have to be very, very cautious about. And so I think that's what's dropped them back about 3 rows or so from where they were just a lap or 2 ago. So that's the balance here. You want to push, you want to go as hard as you can, but you've got to manage that temperature. And I'll say this is one of those things. Gabe hasn't worked with Bud a lot this season, so I say they may not be quite in as constant communication as you might see Gabe with like a Raymond or a Kevin Freeze or Eric Laurie and company. So there's going to be a little bit of that they have to kind of get familiar with here as well.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen Jack Walls running third car in that middle lane with 23. He had a couple opportunities to jump up there high, and Jack, it's hit or miss whether he does that, but I figured when he saw who was up there with Bud Steele, he would have made an attempt on the outside as well.
Yeah, so that's a tough spot where he is right now too. You never know if you want to kind of be low, high, or so for me personally, like I kind of try to cruise in the back and just try to save my stuff until it's really time to go when you kind of get to crunch time. So for me personally, I'd probably be sitting right around where Jay Hilliard is right now in that number 59 car, just out of the 3 wide battles where you feel a little safer, got a nice little buffer around you to be able to react. You also see the 4 there as well, Dylan Hale, kind of I think in the same approach here as well. So that's probably where I'd be sitting if I was those guys. But say these guys here, they're going to waste no time. As we're mentioning the charge from Bud Steele and Gabe Butler falling back a little bit. Looks like they've kind of regrouped and making another big charge here as they were just for a moment at that 3rd line. Now they fall back again about a row or so.
Yeah, Bud's definitely somebody who wants to get up here and win. We saw him actually, you go back a couple months to the interleague race, he did very, very well there. And that was a group of guys that he wasn't really familiar, a group of people that he wasn't really familiar with. So I don't think, a lot of people may be uncomfortable when you got guys right on his door who he's never really raced with before, but I don't see that out of Bud.
Yeah, and I think also last week was a good showing for those guys, showing that they can be up front and saying that they're able to have good, clean races as well. So I think that's the big thing is that first race you really want to kind of shake off some of the jitters you might have and even maybe some of the nerves that some of the other drivers might have around you as well. So right now, like I said, I say it was 2 wide for just a little bit. Now we've been running 3x3 here for about the past 4 or so laps here. But yeah, so right now it's all about who kind of gets that little bit of a push right at the right time as last time. But I think it was Steve Krosek who just got the lead at the line there. But yeah, these guys, so right now it's really anybody's guess is which line's going to get the push here.
Yeah, and just about a lap ago, Gabe and Bud Steele got a great run off the corner and actually got Bud out ahead a little bit. Wasn't enough to clear. And one of the concerns you have when you're the leader of that top line is you have a long way to go to get to the bottom, so you really got to make sure you're clear.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's, yeah, if you want to try to lead from the top and go straight down to the bottom if you can, or if you clear that middle line, do you want to take the lead of the middle line potentially? But right now we see close there between the 83 and the 6 there coming out of 4 as you cross through the tri-oval here one more time. But yeah, and so you can see again, it seems like that third line kind of has that a little bit more of an ebb and flow than the top two. These guys are able to hold pretty stationary with one another here. We haven't really seen the 87 and the 27 really kind of separate very much, maybe a car length or so from one another. But that third line, we definitely see they kind of make big runs, and they drop back, and then they'll make another big run. I think, again, just that having to work the momentum on that top side, it's a little more difficult to manage.
Yeah, and you've made the bed you're in. You know, you got to lie in it. There's nowhere for this top line to go unless they coordinate and roll out the gap behind the second line. But even then, I mean, that's such a ways back. It may not be worth it to them.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like everybody's feeling pretty confident, pretty comfortable with where they are here on track at the moment. As you see the one completely locked on now to the back of that number 6 car. Actually, I think just that time by pushed him to the lead there. Again, I don't think enough to clear that 6 car as of yet. As again, you see the momentum start to shift again back to that inside and middle lines here as that's dropping Bud now from, I think, maybe getting a lap lead that last time by to now falling back to that second row next to that 56 of Paul Sheldon. But again, you can see though off of the exit though, that momentum down the back for this outside line, that's really where that outside line shines with these cars.
Yeah, and just looking at the pace, the best lap of this race was ran by Bud Steele. So he's up there doing what he has to do. I think he just needs to stay patient. I know Gabe Butler's capable of staying patient. We've seen that many times. I think if they just keep doing what they're doing and keep the wits about them, they'll be all right. As Kevin Freeze is going to make a move to the middle, and 27 goes to the top side.
Very, very close call there between 27 and 6. Yeah, that was almost a moment. There's nice. 27 goes straight back to the middle here. So it looks like now Steve Krosek trying to work both lines if he gets the opportunity to. As I think that's going to be the question, of course, also is if they can separate these guys. So right now you actually got the teammates separate now. You got the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer being pushed by Sebastian Marin, and you got Steve Krosek being pushed by the 5 of Kevin Freeze. And I think while all that jockeying was going on, look how much of a pusher that 6 of Bud Steele had. Not quite enough to clear, but I think that's the furthest up he's been pretty much this whole run here. But we're going to be throwing a wrench in this just a little bit here, Dale, because they are they're quickly catching that 20 car of Alberto Lopez here. Again, had to start from the pits, so I'll say right now he's had no draft help. You know he's going to try to get to the top here, I believe, let the leaders by, or maybe we see him drop to the apron down the backstretch. But this is worth, I mean, you know 3 wide's dicey enough as it is, and yeah, actually say that I see Alberto Lopez peeking to the apron here. Really, really nice call by him to be able to do that, and I think he's done it in such a way that he should also be able to regroup this draft. So I think it's going to be kind of 2 birds with 1 stone for that 20 car.
Yeah, and that's what he needs to do. You know, only 1 lap down, 12 laps into this race. If there's a caution, he's in great shape. It's not over the 20 of Alberto.
No, exactly right. I said the key for him. Oh, actually, I see one down on the apron there. Couldn't tell who that was.
I believe it was the 12 car.
I think it was a 12. And I think he may have jumped out as well. Yeah, I think he may have done a kind of an abrupt exit. Not sure what happened, but whatever it was, it allows the race to stay green. But what all this has done, Dale, is look at the group now. We've lost the 3x3. We're back to double file here. Raymond Rittenauer still leading the way. So right now you still got the teammates split up here between the 87-23 and the 27 and the 5. So we'll see if they're able to find their ways back to each other. But this is almost one of those things. What's the better approach here? Do you want to keep your teammates separated, or do you feel better if you have your teammate with you? Let's say it's one of those things where you almost want to be friends with your enemy more than with your friends at times at these races.
Yeah, and you know, you look at like exactly what you're talking about. Everybody's broke up, how they're running. It depends on how confident you are in your teammate. When you got, you know, Gabe or Ray Rittenauer down here leading that bottom line, Kevin Freeze is the second car in the top line. I mean, how confident are you that Kevin Freeze doesn't want to lead this race and push the 27 out of the way? You know, it's just how the strategy and how confident you are in your teammates, I think.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see. And actually, as I said, there goes the 23. He's got the momentum he needed, and now he's going to jump in front of his teammate in that 27 car. So I think now if you're Kevin Freeze and you see he gets a big push to Raymond Rittenauer, They're trying to prevent that 23, I think, from clearing, but looks like they're both going to clear here. So now I'll say that's going to put the 23 and the 27, 1 and 2. So now we'll have to see what the response is going to be from Raymond Rittenauer. Does he kind of just cruise here now and stay with them? Or will we see maybe him and Kevin Hash maybe try to hop in front of Kevin Freeze and make a big charge as well? So right now kind of strategy is going to be kind of intriguing to see where it all pans out right now. There's two drivers that I think have kind of started on the inside row here, Dale, and pretty much haven't left from that position right behind those guys. The 89 of Matt Quick, the 53 of Quabi Brooks. So I think those guys are probably just right now, I think they're just in cruise control mode, just probably trying to save fuel, manage everything that they've got right now. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how kind of what their strategy is, because we're on lap 15 here, so probably another 7 or so, maybe 5 to 7 laps, I'd say roughly, until we see that first potential set of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, you're talking about Matt Quick and Quabi Brooks. Though they haven't won this season, they're both, past winners. Both of them got wins last season, as a matter of fact. I think they both kind of opt for maybe the odd strategy, for lack of a better term. So it might be good that they're lined up where they are to maybe, pit together, because Matt Quick likes to pit with Dale Willoughby. And Dale Willoughby's not here today, so he's going to be looking for somebody to go and pit with.
Yes, and that's one of the things you can do. Again, I mean, if you can run a little bit further on fuel, maybe you can go a little bit longer and then maybe make a late charge. Oh, as you see Bud Steele trying to squeeze in front of that 89 car, Matt Quick. I think Matt gave him a little bit of a break there. So I think later in the race that probably does not happen there, but definitely a pretty big move there to try to squeeze down there from that 9 car in front of the 89 car. Luckily, no contact, but yeah, very, very close call between the two of them there.
Yeah, and it's really too early in the race to be kind of forcing your way into line like that. That's not a move that's going to be forgotten.
Yeah, I'll say it's, as drivers, I'll say we tend to have very long memories and not a lot of patience at times, as well as I believe Kevin Freeze may have just got the lap led that time by in that 5 car. But you can see that front group, though, it's really shooken up a little bit. You've got Sebastian Marion leading with Steve Korsak behind him. But now you got to bring the 83 of Jack Walls into the mix in this with the 83 car. And then, so say he's kind of put his face into this as well. And then we mentioned Paul Sheldon as well a little earlier. He's been able to move himself up now as they're pushing that 5 car. And then also the 13 of Bradley Green right behind Bud Steele. He's made a really nice charge as well in that 13 car in that Budweiser Chevy. So right now, and then also the 45, we've been talking about him plenty. Opted not to make a qualifying lap. That 45, Todd Siebels, he's now found his way into the top 10 here as we approach pit stops.
Yeah, still double file. Nobody's really taking a 3-wide, but they are fastly approaching the 51 of Jim Brooks, which will put him 4 laps back.
Yeah, unfortunately, just nothing going to plan here for that 51 car at this point. And that's the thing, is even if there's an incident, I mean, it's going to, at this point, unless Alberto Lopez is caught up in it, and say he won't get that lucky dog, so he would have to maybe either look at staying out and taking a wave round, which would put him off sequence on the fuel strategy side of things. So yeah, so right now kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place for that 51 car. So however, you do see it looks like people are really starting to kind of single file out here, get to the inside line. So right now you got pretty much most of the group here on the inside line. You see the 56, he's found his way down as well. So I suspect that's going to kind of be the sign that we're going to see pit stops here very shortly. I'm going to be curious to see what's going to be the strategy for some of these guys. Maybe we see someone try to, we usually see the Butenarker guys pit earlier than the other teams. So maybe someone tries to kind of jump the gun on them and hit pit road a lap earlier.
Yeah, and you got Bud Steele has been on this top line for a long time. Kevin Freeze has been in both lines, so he's probably about average on the fuel situation. The car that really worries me, though, on being short early on is Bud Steele, and he's not in a great position to pit.
Yeah, and you wonder right now, is he trying to push that 5, see if he can push the 2 of them in front to maybe be able to take the lead from this group and be able to hit pit road from first and second positions, but right now hasn't been able to open up as of yet, so you kind of wait. You have to wait and see. And here comes some of our first takers, Gabe Butler. Oh, we got contact in the back. Looks like Dave Thatcher, a big shot to the inside wall. So I think he had a little bit of help when probably checking up for that pit stop cycle. So I'm going to try to take a look, see if we can catch exactly what happened, who was behind that 420 car, and see how exactly this all unfolds. So we'll watch Dave Thatcher as he comes out of 4. And it looks like, oh yeah, I think he makes a late call to try to make pit road there, and the 20 car is right behind him. And unfortunately, those two get together there. So big shot for Dave here. does hit pit road now, but obviously definitely going to need some help here to help himself out. And look at the 5 car, Dale, Kevin Freeze. He's having to get to the absolute top here, trying to find somewhere to drop in here to be able to get ready for his pit stop as well.
Yeah, and like he's probably about average. See, guys, looked like Charles Johnson was going to go down to the pit lane, so it did not leave a hole for Kevin Freeze to get in. But we have about 4 or 5 more cars coming in.
Yeah, so now you got Sebastian Marin, Steve Korosek, Paul Sheldon, Jackson Holbrook. I believe I saw James Hickson in there as well, Quabi Brooks, and I believe Jay Hilliard as well. So it looks like a decent-sized group here hitting pit road right now. So now it's going to be all about kind of making time here on this basically the in lap most likely for some of these guys. As we're starting lap number 21, I suspect we're going to see the second group of cars pitting very soon. But I'm going to watch the 89 car though, as we always do with Matt Quick. See if he tries to stretch it out, because you look at Kevin Hash, he's just popped up top. I think these guys are planning to go an extra lap here.
Yeah, and pit stops not going as well as they'd like, as far as the 20 of Alberto Miguel Lopez and the 59 of Jay Hilliard. Both of them overshot their pit box and had to put it in reverse. So that's really going to compound Miguel Lopez is already, being a lap down.
Yeah, so now you got Jack Walls, Bud Steele, Bradley Green, Robert DuPont, Charles Johnson, Joseph Morales, and Todd Siebels. They hit pit road, which now leaves you've got Raymond Rittenauer with Kevin Hash, Matt Quick, Kevin Freeze, all trying to push here, make as fast lap times as they can before they hit pit road. You get the 51 of Jim Brooks. I think just, again, he's kind of off sequence here. I suspect this would be a good opportunity for him, though, just kind of run this out and maybe see if he can then tag along with these guys, hit pit road as well. But now it's going to be all about to see where these drivers cycle out with one another after the pit stops are over. So we'll see if these guys come in this time. And indeed they do. They bring the 51 along with them. So that is going to complete our cycle here as we come around to lap number 23. And so right now, Jack Walls, he cycles out of the pits. He's going to be shown as our race leader. But now we got to see if he's able to build that speed up before the cars that kind of have that full head of steam get back up to him.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. It's kind of a gaggle back here. We do have 2 cars I see coming up that are pretty much bumper to bumper. And I believe that is...
27-23, Steve Korosek and Sebastian Marin. So looks like they're going to be able to cycle their way to the front. But I think that 83, the 45, they built up enough speed. They're going to be able to tag back on these guys as well. So a good pit cycle for these guys to say. I think they're going to be able to hold on to that. And so now the next question, of course, is going to be these guys that just got out of pit road. And I think they're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage here because they're still building up the speed in 1 and 2 as they're going to have the field blow by them here in just another turn or so.
And that's not something we see very often at all.
Yeah, so now the question is, though, can they make the time that we're used to seeing them be able to do? So first they got to try to get back on track here safely. I think they'll be able to sneak in right behind Bud Steele. So I think Matt Quick, actually, I think he'll be okay with Kevin Hash. However, I think Kevin Freeze and Raymond Rittenauer, they're going to have to probably push a little bit here, as now it's going to be the 23-27. Steve Korosek, Sebastian Marin, they're going to lead the field here. Jack Walls, we talked about him not probably wanting to ride. He saw that opening. He's going to lead this top side here in front of the 56 of Paul Sheldon. Quabi Brooks is going to join that group as well here. And another one we haven't really talked about too much until the pit stops was that 31, Jackson Holbrook. Right now in that outside line as well. I believe the 4th car in line there. So we'll have to see what Jackson's got in store as well, because that's a great pit stop for him to get himself in this lead pack.
Yeah. Really, I mean, the top line here, you got Jack Walls, not really surprising. Quabi Brooks. It's not surprising me that they're up there. It's surprising me that they're up there so quick after green flag pit stop. It's usually... I mean, not saying they're bad at pitting their cars, but it's usually not as smooth as it just was.
Yeah, they've done a really good job through the pit stop cycle. So the other thing to mention, of course, unfortunately, some of the pit cycles caught a few drivers out. I believe James Hickson, the 19 car, he got caught speeding on pit road. So, but right now, though, the thing is with the pit stops, the way they've fallen, right now the 19, he's the first car 1 lap down. And I'm looking at lap times as well. We talked about Matt Quick, Kevin Hash and company. They're making some very, very big lap times right now. 49.16, 49.12s. Last time by a leader was in the 49.9. So I'll say those guys aren't going to get shaken off by this lead pack. They're going to be right back into the thick of this thing in probably another lap or so.
Yeah, and I was just getting ready to ask if you thought they were going to try to take that momentum to the front and Kevin Freeze jumped around teammate Matt Quick and Kevin Hash.
Yeah, you see the 53 of Quavi Brooks. He's going to jump to the third line. I think he actually wants to get out of this a little bit. So I think he's going to try to get back in a comfortable position. As again, right now you got the 83-27 running side by side here. So I'm going to be watching. Like I said, I want to watch that 5 car though. Kevin Freeze, does he try to pull that third line? He does. He's going to try to take the momentum to the top. Surprisingly though, Raymond Rittenauer, he does not follow him here. That may have also been something, maybe just get the 87 car a little bit of air as well, maybe help him cool off, because those guys were pushing very hard there to keep up with the group.
Yeah, I think it was that air in the front end out, getting the temps back down, and then just where the 58 of Quavi Brooks was. I'm sorry, the 53 of Quavi Brooks was at the time. I'm not sure Ray thought he was all the way clear. It looked close to my angle, Kevin. So I think it was that he definitely needed to pull the car down, and then was just worried he didn't want to cause a caution.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. So right now, after the pit stop cycle, we still have 19 cars in this lead pack right now. Robert DuPont kind of just hanging out here, as I think just trying to keep his car in a good position. So again, right now we've got a 2-lap window between the first that pitted and the last that pitted. Say Gabe Butler was one of the first that pitted on lap number 19 in the 1 machine, along with Eric Laurie and Dylan Hale in the 071 and the 4 car. And then one of the drivers that pitted the last to hit pit road is that 45, who's actually now leading the top side here of Todd Siebel's. Say right now that 45 and then the 83 Jack Walls, Bud Steele, they went the furthest of anybody when they made their pit stops. Well, actually, no, I lie. Kevin Freeze, I should say, with Matt Quick and company. So it's actually a 3-lap window from when drivers first hit pit road till when they last hit pit road.
Yeah, Charles Johnson finally got the help he wanted to see up top. Kevin Freeze trailing back there as well as the top line started to come in.
Yeah, so never count out Charles Johnson. If there's a top line available, he's gonna go for it. And he's got the 13 now that he's trying to push up Bradley Green again. We just talked about him just a little bit ago as well. So right now you got 3 cars working on the top here, making great progress as well. 13 might clear the 45 here. Todd Siebels gives him the opportunity if he wants to run that middle. And I think he's going to take it. He's going to jump to the middle. Oh, he's going to try to clear himself off the leader there. Makes contact. He's going to go for a slide in ring 3. Looks like he's going to keep it clean. Unfortunately, I'd say so far, though, somehow we stay green. I think it's going to be, the driver that I think took the shot there. I'm not sure if that was Sebastian Marin or Steve Korosik. However, unfortunately, it's definitely shaking this up. But yeah, it just wasn't quite clear. Try to maybe force the issue a little bit, but unfortunately did not pan out there for that 13 car.
Yeah, but I mean, great job both those drivers holding on to those cars. One of the toughest spots in the racetrack to wreck, and for both of them to keep it off the wall.
Yeah, I don't know how they kept those cars in one piece. But I say the beneficiary of all that craziness, though, Bud Steele, look at that. He's now brought that 9 car now to the front with Jack Walls behind him. And then you got Charles Johnson in the 9 car. I keep doing that. I don't know why I mix those two up. I do it all the time. Thank you for that. So I mix those guys up way too often. But yeah, so Charles Johnson taking the point there in the 9 car. He's got Todd Siebels to his outside, Jack Walls behind him. So right now you're feeling pretty good. And actually, I think Todd's going to clear the inside line. We'll see if Todd decides to drop to the inside line. And right now, yep, there he goes. He's going to drop to the low side. So that's going to now bring Paul Sheldon now to lead this outside group.
Yeah, Todd Siebels, talk about him. Look, Charles Johnson not wanting to be in second as he jumps back to the top side to get back around Todd. But I talk about Todd Siebels, pretty often, very comfortable in that top line. One of the drivers I look to start it up usually.
Yeah, so it looks like it might just take us straight away and just barely clears the 45. Todd Siebels, definitely a lot of trust there between the spotter and that 9 car. So say Charles Johnson going to take the point, and look at how much that separated the top line from the bottom line there. It's going to take Paul Sheldon, looks like about another lap or so to kind of regain the momentum here. I'll say the plus side he's got going for him, though, he's got that one of Gabe Butler right behind him. And again, we talked about kind of week in and week out how good of a pusher that 1 car is.
Yeah, not really got any teammates there, so Gabe trying to get to the front. He's going to have to take somebody with him, but Kevin Freeze is separated by a car.
Yeah, it's been a little different. I'd say we haven't seen these guys locked on as much as we were used to seeing. Again, it's not really crunch time. I think that's where we're going to really see them start to make their moves here at some point in the race. But Right now, though, Paul Sheldon getting a huge push down the back. Not quite enough to clear the 9 car yet, but it looks like he might be in a good position here to maybe try to get a lap led in that 56 car.
Yeah, the field's kind of spread out, on its own is slightly surprising. I'm not sure if guys were seeing things they didn't necessarily like or what happened, but don't really see Talladega spread out like this.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that 3x3 for about 5 or so laps, and then it kind of went back to single or double file once it was about pit stop time. But you're right. Right now, you got about the top 10 or so running 2x2, and then, like I said, it's really kind of spread out behind them. Kind of kicking off with about Dylan Hale, Matt Quick, actually now Eric Laurie in the 071 car. These guys are, I think, like I said, I think with that contact we saw with that 13 car, I think that may have kind of maybe brought a little bit more caution from some of those drivers we saw in the background there. Paul Sheldon actually just cleared the 9 car of Charles Johnson, as again, like you said, Dale, he's like, no, if I got room, I'm gonna work back to the top here, and looking just right in front of Gabe Butler, gets a huge push, and just right away, look at that, not even basically not even a turn later, he gets back to the front, back to the bottom.
Yeah, Charles definitely is showing that he wants to be in control of this race. And he's made 2 really good moves in the last 3 laps to make that happen.
Yeah, saying I think, like I said, also the timing, he's able to jump in front of those cars, get the push, and then be able to then get that push and take the momentum straight to the front. But I say here comes the 27-23 against Sebastian Mayer and Steve Korosek. They're going to make a big push here. I think the 23 is cleared. Looks like they're going to clear the middle groove. But you see right there, they knew they were clear of the 9 car, so they just dropped to the middle side. They didn't go all the way to the inside line. Now they're going to try to build that momentum up against the second half of the lap here.
Yeah, and they got teammates, the boot knocker teammates, the one who gave Butler the 5 and Kevin Freeze. I talk about them too much, I think, at this point. But they're right behind them, and that's definitely helping propel those 2 teams as they drop in front of Charles Johnson. And he's not going to be able to do that 5.
Yeah, so this won't give Charles the opportunity he is hoping for to maybe try to jump up and lead that second groove again. So it looks like he's not for lack of effort there. He's right on the back of that 27 car. But like I said, it's going to be the 1 and the 5 here on the outside now. They're going to get the push down the middle as you got the 83 of Jack Walls right behind them. And the thing is, we talk about week in and week out. You always talk about that pusher, but the thing is, the 3rd car line plays a very, very important role as well, because while it's kind of a general unwritten rule with iRacing at the plate tracks that you don't really want to push the pusher, you want to be, if you're Jack Walls, if you're Charles Johnson, you want to be right up underneath basically that 2nd car line. Maybe not touching them, but you want to be as close as humanly possible, because that just helps propel that line just that little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things that could happen too there. If the 5 gets off the 1 a little bit, maybe Jack Walls is back there, can help get him back up on the 1's bumper. Sometimes that can be a difficult task, just getting up there and making contact again, something you don't see very often. Kevin Freeze diving out. I thought he was trying to get around Gabe, but it looks like they're falling to the back.
Yeah, I think maybe they did what they were attempting to accomplish, or they just saw that it wasn't going to work out. Or again, might be about time to. Look at where we are. We're on lap 35 here. So again, those 2 are some of the drivers that went the longest before they made their pit stops. So you wonder, maybe they're going to be looking at another strategy. Maybe this time they're going to come in a little early, take a little bit less fuel. Maybe that'll cycle them to the front. So you see Gabe Butler is able to sneak in right in front of Eric Laurie. You got Bud Steele there, and then you got Kevin Freeze able to cycle in right behind the 6 car. And then you look at the guys right behind them. You got Dylan Hale, you got Matt Quick, you got Raymond Rittenauer, Kevin Hash. So I mean, you've basically got the band back together now. Not where they want to be in the mid pack, but I'll say they're back together here. As while we're watching that, Luke, who's back up top here.
Yeah, no surprise there. Got his buddy though this time, Jack Walls pushing. Surprised to see Bud Steele not up there as much as he was up there leading that top line the first run. And then he's got, good friends of his up there running with Charles Johnson and Jack Walls. Yeah,
it is a little odd not to see him working that top side as of yet, but I'll say still a lot of time to go. As obviously, we're on lap number 37 here. I believe next time by is going to be the halfway point in this race. Again, we mentioned though that 31 car, Jackson Holbrook. I mean, he's kind of just cruising with these guys as well with that top side. So we got a lot of guys here. Again, right now, look about the top 5, top 6 drivers. You see Sebastian Mayer and Steve Korosek, Jackson Holbrook, Paul Sheldon. all very new drivers to the league. As you see, Charles Johnson, as soon as he cleared, he's wasting no time. He drops back to the inside. So yeah, like I said, these new guys are really making a quick and early name for themselves, and been able to be up front here controlling a lot of this race.
Yeah, coming around, it'll be 18 laps on Sebastian Marin fuel run. Last time we saw him run 21 laps, so they're going to be looking to come down pit lane very soon.
Yeah, saying the earliest drivers that pitted on lap 19 was Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie. So I mean, if you base it off that, that would mean just about this time we would see him in, because right now we're on lap number 38. So last time by they came in at 19. So do we see the 1? Do we see the 071? Do they hit pit road, or maybe they've been saving this run? As you can see, actually kind of surprised a little bit of a gap between the two of them there. I mean, again, no risk of losing the draft, but kind of odd to see that big of a gap here. So I do think this is probably going to be about the time that pit window is going to open. Jack Wall's trying to get the push to get to the front there. Not quite enough as it hits turn 3.
Yeah, I talked earlier for the first pit cycle, Jay Hilliard slid through his box. Alberto Miguel Lopez slid through his box. Jay has done a very, very good job of staying on the lead lap. A second off of the leaders as far as race pace, but done a great job of drafting with his partners and staying on the lead lap.
Yeah, so we got a few drivers hitting pit road. Gabe Butler, Dylan Hale, Kevin Freeze. Unfortunately, you saw there on the camera, unfortunately, Eric Laurie got way too hot. We know he's going to have a stop and hold in that 071 car, so that's going to drop him out of the lead. Probably also a lap down as well. So they're going for the early pit strategy here with these guys. So you see the 1, he's going to cycle out. However, they've also left behind the 4 of Dylan Hale. I think Dylan looks like a long stop for him. Looks like probably 4 tires, actually. So unfortunately, a miscue on that's going to separate those 4 cars into 2 cars on the pit exit. So we'll see if any of the other leaders here are aware of that, or if they react to this pit stop. And it looks like just 2 pitting now is going to be, I believe, the 07 of Robert Dupont, the 60 of Joseph Morales. Oh, and Robert Dupont also misses his entry. He's able to he catches the wall a little bit with the left front there. So unfortunately, I believe also caught the pit cone. So another pit penalty coming up for him as well, I believe, as Eric Laurie also still serving the penalty in that 071.
Yeah, it was tough. Almost kept it off the wall. If I'm Robert DuPont, I'm clicking that fast repair off and seeing what I got damage-wise. I don't want to waste it on just a little bit of contact, because his pit crew's probably going to be able to beat that damage.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think there's no sense of using that up as of yet. So right now, unfortunately, the first 2 pit stops of the second group have been a little bit rough. And you see here, I think here comes our next set of drivers here. And it's going to be our bigger group this time. It's going to be, looks like the 23 car. Sebastian Marin, Steve Krosek. Oh, you got the 45 now. Todd Siebel's locking it down. Oh, he catches the inside of the pit wall as well. So just a very difficult pit road the second time by. I'm not sure, maybe a little bit of nerves catching in this time or not. Also got Jack Walls, Quabi Brooks, Bud Steele also hitting pit road. So that's now cycled around Paul Sheldon to the lead here with Matt Quick, Raymond Rittenauer, and Kevin Hash. Again, Jim Brooks trying to tag on, trying to see if he can take advantage of maybe a timely caution for him in that 51 machine. But yeah, right now, this pit stop cycles have really kind of shooken up this field here. We'll have to wait till everybody completes it. But it's definitely been a tough one compared to our first set.
Yeah, I can't think of another time that's happened where we've seen 3 groups 3 times in a row kind of botch pit stops like they have.
Yeah, and it looks like you got the 56 Paul Sheldon. He's going to hit pit road by himself. Matt Quick, Raymond Rittenauer, Kevin Hash are going to go an extra lap. And the other thing they got going from here, Dale, as you see, they were able to pick up some draft off the 4 there of Dylan Hale. I say give him a little bit of extra speed as well. As you'll see, the 51 of Jim Brooks go by, as well as the 19, I believe that is, of James Hickson. I say they're also trying to stretch their field numbers as well. Again, trying to kind of go off strategy, I feel like. So I say these guys are yet to make their final pit stop. And up front, it looks like it's going to be Sebastian Marin who's been able to win the fight out of pit road for the guys that have pitted. So now we got to wait for this group of 3 drivers here to pit road for their second time tonight.
Yeah, and I think Matt and Raymond and Kevin Hash can make it another 2 laps.
Now they're going further here. I mean, again, they went on lap 22 last time by, so if they kind of continue what they did here, we're going to start lap 43, so I suspect we'd see them in this time most likely coming to 44. We'll have to wait and see. I'm looking at the lap times. Last time by was a 50:27. I'm going to jump a little further back. We're going to look at Sebastian Marin with Steve Krosek and Charles Johnson together here. their last lap, I say they're still building speed here. Last time I was a 57.53, so obviously not an accurate comparison with these guys. But they've been able to separate themselves. The three of them, you see Quabi Brooks, he's off on his own here. He's going to wind up dropping back to the 1 and the 5 car. So we're going to jump back, though, to our leaders here and wait for them to hit their pit road for their second scheduled stop. Yeah, you're right, Dale. They're going to go 2 more here. I thought they'd be in this time, but yeah, they're going to stretch it out now to 40, coming to 45. And this is going to be big for them. If they can keep it this lead pack, if we do stay green, that final pit stop for them at this point, I mean, look at the numbers here. They're going to have basically about 5 less laps of fuel they're going to need to put in those cars potentially for that final stop. So we'll have to see if the strategy pays out should we stay green here.
You know, also the big break here is to Dylan Hale being able to follow these guys in draft. You know, kind of had a little issue on pit lane, cost him a whole bunch of time, now a lap down, but he's not losing any time to the leaders currently.
Yeah, you're right. So this is a big break for him. So right now, I believe, as it sits, obviously the first car one down, but we'll cycle back to the tail end of the lead lap. Here they come. The leaders coming in pit road now, and he's also going to have some help behind him with the 31 car. So that's going to be a big break for them. So it is a little bit of an aggressive entry for Matt Quick. Hopefully got it down to speed, but a little bit more spaced out than I think they'd want to be here for the pit entry. But they might be aware that there's a lot of mistakes on pit road, so maybe just wanting to take no chances there.
Yeah, and you can see now on the track that everybody like how detrimental those mistakes work. It's everybody is so spread out. When you look at Charles Johnson, Sebastian Marin, Steve Korsak running together, and then it's a little ways back to the next big group of cars.
Yeah, they do come out relatively close to one another. You see Jim Brooks, as they look like he kind of rolled off a little bit to make sure that he didn't get into the mix of this fight here up front. So say right now Matt Quick is our race leader. Again, though, they're still building up speed, and here's going to be our lead pack here coming through 1 and 2 here. So it's going to switch to Sebastian Marin as he comes out of 2. So move this 23 car to the front. Say he's got the number 27 of Steve Krosek, Charles Johnson behind him. So now we got to wait to see how everybody cycles through, because right now we've got kind of a couple groups here trying to make a big charge here. You got Gabe Butler working on top of Kevin Freeze. You've got the 83 car, the 6 car. So I say they're going to have to start working very well together to try to get back up into this field here.
Yeah, Matt Quick kind of comes out perfect, as well as Ray Rittenauer. It looks like he's going to line up right with his teammates.
Yeah, actually works really well for them. And say so right now, if you're Kevin Hash here, you're the biggest Jim Brooks fan that you can be. You're just telling Jim here, just push me for all you're worth here. That way we can get back up to these guys, and then we can kind of go back to our strategy here. So, and you see, I think Raymond Rittenauer also, not sure if he's trying to drop back possibly a little bit to pick up that 03 car, but I think that might be what we're seeing as well. To say, just again, we talk about the teamwork week in and week out from those guys. So right now, say the field, though, like you said, very, very spread out. We got about 10 cars here in the lead pack right now. All spaced out a little bit here. It looks like about 3 seconds between first to 10th. But then from there, it really spaced out, Dale. The 53 of Quabi Brooks, he's again off on his own here. I'm surprised he didn't get picked up by some of those guys like the 1 and the 5 and company. So whatever happened to him, unfortunately, he's just kind of off on his own here. And then a little further back, you got the 56 of Paul Sheldon, who's working with the 19 car. And we talked about Dylan Hale. He's got a lot of drafting help from the 31 car. Those two just doing everything they can to try to avoid going down a lap here. Then Jay Hilliard actually just got put down a lap in that number 59 machine. So that's going to leave, it looks like 14 cars, Dale, after the second pit stop cycle on the lead lap. Just again shows how crazy that second set of pit stops was.
Yeah, about to see a big momentum shift, though, because here come Gabe Butler, Kevin Freeze, and Jack Walls with a big head of steam, and I'm certain they're going to take it slow.
Yeah, I was curious to see what the strategy. There goes Charles Johnson. Like, hey, if you're gonna go to the top side, you're not going without me. So you see the 9 car peak to the top, but actually right now, so I don't know if it's the one waiting for momentum here or not, but he has not had any takers that go with him. Charles is going to be probably pretty disappointed about that right here.
I think that was a rope-a-dope. I think they remembered some things from earlier in the race, and once they had the opportunity to roll somebody backwards, that's what they're electing to do. Because you saw Gabe look to the outside, and then all at once said, nah, I don't think so.
So now if you're Charles, you're probably trying to do your sales pitch here to the 83 to the 6. Say, hey guys, why don't we work the top side with one another? But Right now they look pretty content here to just cruise right now on the inside line. I think, and honestly, I feel like that's probably a best approach. You see, actually, I think Jack Wall's trying to either give Charles the position to drop in, or I think he's going to try to push that 9 cars. You see, here comes Raymond Rittenauer and Kevin Hash on the top side. So as you see, Kevin was able to get that momentum and get back to the draft, and yeah, they're going to work with third group here, see if they can get to the front.
Yeah, Matt Quick staying in line. Figured he was going to get up there with his teammates, but it's not out of character for Matt to be running where he's running until the end of the race. But I want to point out that he is in a position he has to win tonight to stay in a championship contention.
Yeah, and actually, honestly, I like what Matt's doing here. Again, he went the furthest of all those guys. He pitted on lap number 44 compared to some drivers at 38, 40 for our leaders. So he's got 4 laps more fuel than these guys, and he's already back to saving. Like I said, he got right back into the mix of this group here, right in the draft here, so he's able to kind of go back to fuel saving right away. So the 23, 27, they're going to have to take a good chunk of fuel. That 89 car, he might need to take a couple seconds less fuel, and so maybe Matt Quick could be the one to cycle out in front. And again, we talk about the unselfishness of this team with those boot knockers, so I could easily see them saying, okay, whichever one of us gets out in front of the other, that's going to be the way we try to make this happen. And they've even talked about it in their interviews. If they get the opportunity, they want to get one of their drivers to win, to advance into the playoffs that hasn't got a win already. So saying we'll see if that unselfishness pays off tonight, as well as Charles Johnson trying to get the lead here.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. All of them have said multiple times they don't care who it is that wins as long as one of them wins, and that goes for the race and the championship. But their chances are increased if Matt Quick gets in there.
And that's exactly. I mean, at this point, you play the odds. I mean, I say if you kind of just run ramp. I mean, if you let's say I don't even know if they have 8 drivers now, but I mean, if you get all 8 drivers of theirs in the playoffs, I mean, they're sitting pretty. It's like, hey, it's gonna be one of us, so have fun. So obviously, unfortunately, with the 55, Dean Wilkinson, he's not here tonight, but I'll say it won't be all them because we know Dean Wilkinson was able to get a win last week. He's locked himself into those playoffs. And unfortunately for Eric Laurie, he's going to possibly have to rely on his points position to get in as well, Dale, because right now he's sitting in 20th spot with his pit mistake. So to say, hopefully those previous races. The other thing we got to mention is right now there is one drop week, so basically it's going to be the driver's best 7 races that's going to show for the top 8 in points. So that's going to be the other make or break to see kind of where it all shakes out tonight.
Yeah, and you got Charles Johnson, in the points, sitting in the top 8. But when you count in the wins, doesn't quite have it. So he's up here leading, knows he has to win.
Yeah, so it just completely changes the complexion of this race for sure with that. And I say, unfortunately, you see they're coming up in the 45 with Todd Siebels. I believe this is going to put Todd 2 laps down, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, this will put him 4 down. So say something, obviously missed something that happened to that 45 car as well. It's really sent him far back as well. Oh, he had to spin on pit road, that's right. So yeah, just these drivers all getting kind of caught out by circumstances tonight, and unfortunately some honestly uncharacteristic pit mistakes. Usually these guys don't have that many, especially on one stop. We saw a lot of mistakes from a lot of drivers there.
Yeah, I mean the first round of pit stops was pretty flawless. The second round kind of just fell apart. But they're gonna get an opportunity at redemption here in about 10 laps.
Yeah, I'll say money stop time coming very soon. I'll say that's going to be the next question now. Do these drivers... Oh, actually, say contact. We're going to have a caution. As you see, big trouble up front here. The 83 of Jack Wall's involved. I believe the 1 of Gabe Butler, he was also caught up in this one. I think I saw Steve Korosik also in this one on Sebastian Marin. So we are back under yellow to go back and see what exactly happened. But unfortunately, so they were just talking about that last scheduled pit stop deal. This is going to throw a wrench into things because we're going to be right on the edge of that pit window. Could get very interesting here, but I suspect we'll see everybody hit pit road. Let's go back. Let's try to find out what happened here. So say at that point they were already going around. So let's go back a little further here. Alright, so we're going to watch from the 83 of Jack Walls. We'll keep an eye on him because I think he was one of the first that got sent around here, Dale. Like when I say I jumped a little bit too far back just to make sure we didn't miss it there. But yeah, I say unfortunately we'll have to see how exactly this all unfolded. Oh, I think I see it there. The 83 kind of washed up. Raymond Rittenauer saw an opening. He went to take it, and unfortunately, I'm not sure if it was a bump from the 03 that may have sent him sideways or not, but unfortunately, though, Charles Johnson somehow just sneaks by there. But then you see the 83 getting some contact. You see the damage on the left front of the 87 car, and unfortunately, Jack comes straight across the one car. I believe that's the 07. Oh, big shot for the 07 car, actually. Of Robert DuPont. I think Bud Steele gets a piece. Looks like Matt Quick gets a little piece as well. And Eric Laurie also catching a little bit of it as well. So that's unfortunately how it all came to be there. So unfortunate for those guys. However, we have a lot of drivers hitting pit road here, Dale, because this could be money stop time. So we'll have to see how this one's going to cycle out here.
Yeah, we know there's going to be some guys that can make it. I don't want to say everybody can make it from here. I don't see why they couldn't, but you're going to have some drivers that are going to push super, super hard these last 20 laps.
Yeah, exactly right. And the other thing on this is also this is the strategy of them making it to the end on lap 75. If we get green white checkered finishes, which is again always a potential, especially once it comes into kind of crunch time, we could definitely see things shake up a little bit. So right now, we have a few drivers opting to try to get damage repaired manually, I believe. Say one of those being that 27 car, the 23 looks like the same for him as well. And see, it looks like they're actually going to be wait for each other to come out of pit road. Gabe Butler, he just hit the pits now in the 1 machine. Also, I think I saw the 53 at Quavi Brooks. I think he hit the pit road a lap early there. Not sure if maybe damage that he caught up in that or if I missed something there. But he came in a lap earlier than I suspected. And I do see one strategy call here. Again, the 51 of Jim Brooks. He's been basically trapped laps down here since the start of this race. He's going to stay out here, Dale. He's going to gamble. He needs this thing to have another caution here because right now he's trying to gain as many laps as he possibly can back. So, but right now he's obviously going to be in a tough spot because we have multiple cars 1 lap down, some cars 2 down, and I believe with this would put him to 3 down. So, it wouldn't be a huge gain, but I mean at this point, any lap you can gain, I think, is probably worth a gamble.
Looking at the 9 of Charles Johnson rolling to the rear of this line.
Yeah, you're right. The 9 car rolling to the back. Possible pit road speeding penalty, I'm guessing, at that point. And say not enough to obviously do to serve a stop and go since it's under caution. But yeah, it's going to be an end of longest line penalty. So I think at this point, if you're Charles, I think if you're your 9 car, you come back in here, you top off. That way there's no question about making it to the end on fuel. And I'll see if anybody towards the back is going to taking a splash of fuel. And yeah, here they come. It's going to be the 27, 23 who were involved in the incident, the 1 and the 9. So great calls by those guys. I think you're in the back already. Might as well give yourself a bit of an advantage with a little bit of extra fuel. Sorry, go ahead.
Not losing any track position. Definitely seeing that this race can start to go a little to the side of caution. I don't want to say a wreck fest, but there could be more incidents. I think it's the best possible scenario for him.
Yeah, I agree. And you see right here also the 59 Jay Hilliard. He's going to hit pit road. He was a lucky dog, so he's back on the lead lap. That's going to give us 15 cars on the lead lap. I mentioned Jim Brooks. He got that wave round. He is going to be very low on fuel. So as an admin, you always want these races to go green. As a competitor, he's probably hoping for a caution to maybe get himself back into a chance here to try to gain some more spots. So we'll have to wait and see. But you see right away, though, look at the 89 car, Matt Quick. He's rolling the apron here, trying to save as much fuel as possible. And again, this is our first restart too, Dale. So again, leader now going to be the 87 Raymond Rittenauer. He's got control over the start, and look at what he's got around him. He's got the 5 behind him. He's got the 89 behind him. He's got the 03 next to him. So if they can plan this right here, they could maybe lock up this maybe either lock up the front 2 rows, middle and inside, or maybe they try to line up single file on the inside line.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they can control where they're at now, the bottom and the middle. Force guys like Bud Steele, Quappy Brook, Jack Walsh to go to the 3rd line, and it's been pretty difficult. We've seen to make it from the top line all the way down to the bottom to lead this thing.
Yeah, the concern I have right now is the 87 car. If you look at that left front quarter panel, he's got some damage with that contact that he had. So you don't know if that's going to affect his pace at all, especially with him now being the leader here. I say almost if you're Raymond, you'd rather be kind of following him behind one of the Kevins if you can. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be all about this restart right now for these guys to see what they can do. So it's going to be the front row, going to be Raymond Rittenauer, Kevin Hash, and you got Kevin Freeze and Bud Steele, and then Matt Quick and Quabi Brooks there in the third row. So again, at this point, it's up to leader's discretion. He can drop whenever he is ready. Looks like he's going to wait a little bit longer here as they come through the travel. Sometimes you'll see them go early. Now they go, I think, just a little bit earlier than they had to. So we'll see if they're able to get themselves organized well here.
Yeah, and kind of everything fell apart around them. So Kevin Hash, the only driver on the top side really right now, all his teammates lined up below him, and Bud Steele's going to be there. I don't think Kevin's going to be able to drop in line behind Matt Quick.
No, you're exactly right. So now he's going to see if he can fall in behind Bud Steele if he can. Otherwise, Jackson Holbrook's going to fill that gap as well. As they see Kevin Hash just going to squeeze in there before the 31 gets there. So now you got about an 8-car breakaway for just a little bit before the draft. Obviously brings everybody back into the mix here. But again, I'm surprised here. I really didn't think we'd see Raymond Rittenauer leading this pack here. I'm not sure if they're aware or if he's aware. Let's say, but I feel like that left front damage is really going to affect their top end speed. So say if anybody's familiar with this, actually we got some pit stops here, possible pit penalties. It looks like the 53 and the 1 here of Gabe Butler, Quabi Brooks. So unfortunately for them, it's going to drop them out of the top 10 there.
Yeah, and those are the tough ones. Whenever you get a pit penalty under a caution stop, you know, you're coming into pit lane slow already. Those are the tough ones because you know you really left a lot on the table. And you can't blame it. Caution back out.
Yeah, caution's out. Trying to see where it is. It looks like it might be involving the 19. Oh, yeah, James Hickson's involved. And the 59. Oh, unfortunately, 59, Jay Hilliard. He was just back on the lead lap, unfortunately. So that's the break we just talked about from Jim Brooks that he was hoping for. Let's try to see if we can find out what happened here between them. Oh, it looks like 3 wide, actually. The 51 was actually in the middle of that as well. So we'll go back here a little bit and try to get a better look at this here. Oh, it looks like netcode actually between the 51 and the 59, and unfortunately that just sent them into the 19 car. Just bad luck, honestly, there. So, yeah, unfortunately the netcode from the 51 car actually kind of works in his own favor there. So yeah, so this though I believe going to be a huge break though for that 1 in the 53 car. I believe they stay on the lead lap if I'm not mistaken. So I'll wait for them to cycle through to verify for sure. You see the 53 going on by. The 1's already by the pace car. So this may have saved them from going multiple lap, or going a lap down, I should say.
Yeah, and if Quabi Brooks, you know, Quabi had kind of lost the draft and then got off pit cycle or had a penalty rather, this is a really big break for him.
And the other thing this does is obviously you see, I think all these drivers here, they're just trying to save as much fuel as they could there. So you see Raymond Rittenauer, he's going to actually roll a little bit past the pace car. So what this has done now is this, I think now everybody's easily good to go to the field to the end. Of course, doesn't account for potentials of the green-white checkered finishes. So yeah, so I suspect we probably won't see too many takers on pit road, at least not towards the front. We know we'll see the 51 of Jim Brooks. He'll hit pit road to get the fuel that he needs to get to the end. But yeah, and so I'm curious to see if we get a lucky dog. I believe it's going to be Joseph Morales. We'll keep an eye on that 60 car. I believe he's going to get that wave around here.
Yeah, put Joseph Morales back on the lead lap. Give him another shot at this thing. Just tough break for some of these guys. You know, Jim Brooks, who was it, the 19, I think, was back there. Just real tough breaks for them.
Yeah, as you see the 60, he's going to roll around the top cautiously until he clears. Then he can get the power down and get around these guys. So yeah, put Joseph Morales back on the lead lap. Drivers that are in the pits, you see Paul Sheldon, he hit pit road. Obviously Jay Hilliard, he's got no choice. Hopefully has a faster pair sitting there. We'll watch him and see if that car gets back to one piece. And it does. So faster pair, again, that's the benefit of those. I was saying that's the thing is Jay, he was just in a bad spot there, got caught by netcode, and unfortunately I say potentially could have ruined his race, obviously. But now he's got another chance to get back after this thing. So he's going to roll out of the pits. He's got Gabe Butler right behind him. And then like I mentioned, here comes Joseph Morales. He's going to put himself back on the lead lap. So that'll bring us back to now 16 cars on the lead lap. And so I'm trying to see drivers that are one down, how many there are. I think it might 2 cars right now. It's going to be, so that'll be the next question, is that battle for the lucky dog. It's going to be between the 07 of Robert DuPont. Unfortunately, we saw him caught up in that earlier incident. The 19 of James Hickson just rolling out of pit road right now are the only two drivers one lap down at the moment.
Yeah, they're really got to be mindful of where each other are on the track. That lucky dog again be one lap down. If there's another caution, puts them back in it. It's very important at this stage in the race that they get it.
Yeah, exactly right. And the one thing I did notice there was that the 07, he stayed out, the 19 pitted, so he should have a significant track position advantage over those guys, because you can see right now he's pretty much one of the first cars behind the lead lap drivers here. And if you roll back to the 19 car, he's just getting to the field, so I'd say it's probably about a 6 to 8 car buffer between those two. So yeah, I'll have to kind of keep an eye on that and see. Say Joseph Morales, let's say he just got service to his car. He's going to get cycled back. He's going to have to restart the tail end, of course, being the lucky dog. He had to cycle at the end of the longest line. So that being said, we're going to come around here to get the one to go. So we'll step away for just a moment, and we'll get things back going here once we get back on the backstretch. Alright, you see the lights are off the pace car. We're heading down the back. We're going to restart this thing with 14 to go. This is our second yellow tonight. So you got the front row, you've got Raymond Rittenauer, Kevin Freeze. Second row, Matt Quick, Bud Steele. Third row, you've got Jack Walls and Kevin Hash. Then you got Jackson Holbrook and Steve Korosik. And then the fifth row, you have Sebastian Marin and Charles Johnson. Again, I feel like at this point, everybody's good to go with fuel to the end. Green on checkers, that's probably still a question mark. I think at this point they can probably make at least one. But if we wind up needing all three, that I think could be up in the air. Those that I think just topped off and pitted under this last yellow, like Paul Sheldon, Dylan Hale, Jay Hilliard, Gabe Butler, Joseph Morales, I think they're probably good to go no matter what. So we'll see. I mean, we got 16 drivers here back on the lead lap. It's going to be back into the hands of the 87 and the 5. Drivers are going to be aware of what they did last restart. We'll see how they react to it this time. They're going to go early here, Dale. See if that catches anybody off guard. Right now, it looks like 89, 87. They've locked on pretty well together. Now we'll watch the 5 cars. He's going to try to probably drop to the inside. I think he'll do so there. But surprisingly, though, he's still running the middle here as they enter 3.
Yeah, not sure what's going on. I definitely thought he was going to drop down there. Kevin's already won a race this season, so he's in the championship 8. Maybe they have another plan.
Yeah, and I also want to we've seen the momentum on the middle groove too be so important. So I wonder if he doesn't want to let these guys leave the middle groove open for somebody, make him forced to go to the third line, as now he's got a great pusher behind him in the 03 of Kevin Hash. So I'd say it was a little nerve-wracking there at first, but I'd say now with these guys being on the front 2 rows of the inside and middle groove, I say if anybody's going to want to try to beat them, they're going to have to find a way to get to that third groove to make it happen, which we've seen. It's possible, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, Gabe Butler's showing up back there on the high side, still a little bit back, but he's going to try to work his way up to the front here.
Yeah, and he's tagging along the 4 of Dylan Hale as well. Say those two, I wouldn't count them out as of yet either. You see the 56 Paul Sheldon. He's jumped to the top, but no takers yet. So if he doesn't get any help, he's going to find himself fall into the pack here. So we'll see if anybody goes with him. There goes somebody, Steve Korosek. He's going to jump to the top, try to get that third lane going. We'll see if they're able to make something happen there in that third line here.
Steebles was looks like the 07 is going to go too. And then maybe the 4 tucked back in down below, but it's the third line's really starting to form up.
Yeah, 31, he's peeking to the top now. He wants to go. So we just talked about Jay Hilliard getting caught up in that last wreck. He's now the third line in the middle here, Dale. So say right now he's going to try to work himself up into the top 10. Maybe he can find a way to get to be that leader of the top group right now. So say again, just all depends on where you get the runs, get the momentum. But right now, say they're going to go 3x3 like we saw at the beginning portion of this race.
Kind of thought the Kevin and better Kevin would jump up top and try to block out run a little bit, but they really don't have any interest for staying in the center.
Yeah, I feel like the middle groove is probably a pretty good spot to be. We've seen the outside line have momentum at times. But it seemed like as a whole, though, that middle line is usually pretty stout against that outside line. And I think that's the thing right now is, if we talk about the team game that these guys might be playing as well, they've got the front 2 rows on the inside and the middle line. So, it's a great place to be here. As you see now, the 1 car and the 4 car also in that middle groove as well. So, I'll say right now, Kevin Freeze just a nose ahead there through the tri-oval there. And say not enough to clear the 87, which I don't think he will, even if he can. So yeah, right now these guys just doing everything they can to, I think, control these bottom 2 lines.
Yeah, looking at Charles Johnson back here running 13th currently is what's showing him at. A tough break for him. He had been leading this thing and was being very aggressive. And as soon as somebody took the lead away, he was right there to grab it back and just made one little mistake and all that track position. The problem is now he's looking at a wall of cars and has nowhere to go.
Yes, and honestly, though, I think at this point, if you're that 9 car, I would be running the bottom here and just kind of wait a little bit, because they're running 3 wide here, Dale, but they're running a lot tighter now. Let's say there's definitely a lot more squeezing going on. You see, actually, Kevin Freeze, he's going to try to block that top side, just a little bit of wall contact, it looked like, from that 31 car. So I think Kevin Freeze, now you see these guys trying to control 3 lanes here. That's going to now open the door for Jay Hilliard. He's going to push the 03 of Kevin Hash now towards the front. And you see Gabe Butler in the 1 car. He's going to jump to the top here. It's going to bring the 4 along of Dylan Hale. The momentum is shifting lap after lap right now.
Yeah, so this is a whole nother dynamic. Really, really aggressive move by Kevin Freeze. But Boot Knocker's got all 3 lanes, on the front row.
Yeah, but the question is, we're at 10 to go here. Going to come across the 9 to go. Nobody's going to want to sit in this position. You see the 31 to 5. I think they're still having an argument about real estate from earlier with these 2. Hopefully that gets sorted out pretty quickly. But right now it's Kevin Hash that led the lap that last time by. But man, the one I'm watching still, my question mark still is Raymond Rittenauer. Him leading the way he is, even with that left front damage, I'm a little bit surprised that car's held on as well as it has here. But man, we are 3x3 all the way back here. I feel like it's only a matter of a time before someone tries to get that 4th line working if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, Gabe Butler's going to make a move in front of Kevin Hash. I was about ready to make a comment on Kevin Hash channeling his inner Larry Yingling and wanting to get up there and win a race, but Gabe Butler tucked down in front of him.
Yes, and that's going to push now the 4 car, though. Dylan Hale, he's going to have momentum here on the top side with Kevin Freeze behind him. And that's the thing is a lot of these drivers we talked about, some of these guys are win in, you're in. So we mentioned the 89 of Matt Quick, the 4 of Dylan Hale, he's in that same boat. I don't know all the rule specifics, of course, on this one, but from what I was aware, that's kind of how it worked. I don't know if the latecomers, if it's the same for them or not, because of course you have to account for some missed races. We'll let the Edmonds deal with that. But right now, you got the 1 car leading with the 03 behind him. Then you got the 87 on the inside, the 4 on the outside. These guys are giving it everything right now, trying to see if they can control this race with these guys up front.
Yeah, Team Boot Knocker 3x2, which I think is the first time this season we've actually seen this. But you got some really aggressive drivers back here. You got Todd Siebels. I don't think he's scared to take it 4 wide.
Yeah, so that's going to be the question, too, is which of these drivers are going to be the ones that take the risk, because I say that's the part, too. It's hard, too, is you've got drivers that are maybe possibly a lap or more down here, And I think I see right there one driver trying to make that top side happen. I think that was the '07 of Robert DuPont, trying to see if he could maybe peek out there a little bit, maybe just try and get some air. But right now we're 3x3 here with 7 to go here. And I say right now, like you said, there's just not really anywhere for anybody else to go. So I was saying, we talked about that third line possibly being an outlier, possibly being a game changer. And I mean, right now, say that I think these guys realize and say, hey, if we're going to try to win this between us, we got to have all 3 lanes.
Yeah, 6 to go are coming around to it, doing a great job of controlling this race. But coming down to 2 or 3 to go, the aggression is really going to kick up with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is the final regular season. Win and you advance. Save maybe X or asterisks on that one. Don't know all the details on it. However, I say at some point, if there's going to be an opening anywhere, I think at some point you're going to see someone try to find a way to fill that gap. So it's going to be very interesting to see which of those drivers it's going to be. Because like I said, it's going to have to come from that third row, though. So say you've got the 83 of Jack Walls, you got the 59 Jay Hilliard, and I believe it is the 45 of Todd Siebels. But I believe Todd right now is, I think, 2 laps down, possibly 3 down. So I don't see Todd Siebels trying to play too much of a role in this one. So it'll be very interesting to see though which line tries to make something happen. Oh, it looked like the 59 was going to try to take a peek there, but right now it's still going to be the one car holding front here. But yeah, we're going to come around here, 5 to go at the line. Man, it's anybody's guess at this point.
Yeah, I think what we're going to, just a prediction, if we make it that far, we're going to see 4 wide Team Boot Knocker racing for the win of this thing. Like I said, they always want one of themselves or their teammates to win either the race or even the championship. But the sweeter thing than that is beating one of their teammates. Yeah,
exactly right. And I mean, that's also you got to think about. We talk about the drivers that aren't locked in. The 071 Eric Laurie, unfortunately, he's trapped a couple laps down. Matt Quick, he's stuck behind the 87 Raymond Renner on the inside line. He can't go anywhere. So really, I'll say the one driver who isn't locked in that's in a really good spot is that 4 car of Dylan Hale. So we'll see. Maybe Dylan can make something happen in that number 4 Gatorade Camaro. So we're coming around here, 4 to go at the line. Everybody's pretty much locked on to one another. But again, I just don't think there's anywhere for these guys to go at this point. So it's like I said, someone's gonna have to force that 4th line. I think if they're gonna try to make something happen, which I don't think it's unlikely that it's gonna happen. So we'll have to see here with the 4 to go.
Yeah, I know 2 guys that would like to get up there and get back at the front. Steven Karosik and Sebastian Marin, they led a ton of this race together. Now they're kind of trapped in the back. Big wiggle.
Oh, yeah.
Knocked out of line.
Yeah, pushed the 53 out of line. I think it was the 56. Probably just a push, got a little too aggressive there. 53 held on to it there, so I think he's going to hold on to the draft as well. But yeah, almost a big moment there towards the back of this draft here. And so that's the thing is, as these guys run 3x3, it's all going to keep bottling up little by little, and then eventually, so that according effect, it finds the weak point, and that's usually where it happens. So we're going to cross though here, 3 to go right now at the line. It's pretty much a crapshoot between the top 3 there, between Raymond, Gabe, and Dylan here. So we'll see if they can make it 2 more laps. If we can get that white flag, from then on they race it out, caution or not. We'll say they'll be the first one to cross that checkered flag.
What, 3 wide all the way back for 6 or 7 laps now?
It's been a while. Yeah. So again, this is one of those times I'm happy to be in the booth because I would be just death gripping the wheel right now, just so nervous and so tense not to be the one to shake this thing up right now. But right now, I'd say these guys are holding pretty steady. Again, they're definitely squeezing one another, trying to make sure that they kind of give themselves the best room they can. But it only takes that little bit of a bobble, the inside row or inside line if they hit the apron, if the middle line if they squeeze too far up, too far low. I mean, and then of course the outside line, you gotta make sure you give enough room on the inside, and of course have to avoid that outside wall as well. As at that time I think Dylan Hill just had a nose ahead at the line.
Yeah, so in a great position, he just proved that he can lead off a 4. He's just got to do it again here in 2 laps, and then contend with somebody's going to jump out of line at the end and go for one.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you're Dylan Hill, you're in the 3rd line, but you can't give too much room on the middle or bottom because someone's going to try to squeeze it through the trial should we get there. So they've got half lap to go to get to that ever critical white flag of this race. So if that happens, we will finish under regulation. If not, we might see overtime. So we'll see as they come out of turn number 4. You see a lot of moving side to side here. We'll see who's got this one in store for this last lap of the race. Looks like everybody's got enough space here, so I think we will take the white here, Dale. 1 to go here at Talladega. Raymond Rittenauer there at the lead, had the lead that last time by. Can Dylan Hale pull it off? Can Gabe Butler get it? Or do we see someone make a big move late here on this last half lap?
Yes, right now it's really too close to call because we've seen Gabe Butler, Raymond Rittenauer, and Dylan Hale, lead the last couple laps, kind of bouncing back and forth there. Right now down the backstretch, though, it's going to be Gabe Butler leading that middle lane.
Yeah, I say Gabe's got a big push there from that middle from, I believe that's Kevin Hash behind him. So we'll see, can the momentum shift here on through 3 and 4? These guys are all pushing everything they're worth. These engines probably roasting right now. As you see Dylan Hale trying to squeeze the 1 car there off of 4. Now it's going to be that dash through the trial, but right now Raymond Rittenauer has the edge here. We'll see if they can continue. You see Kevin Freeze try to peek inside, couldn't quite do it at the line. It's going to be, I believe, Raymond Rittenauer as everybody gets sent around there at the back here. But I believe it's going to be Raymond Rittenauer getting the win over Gabe Butler there in second. Dylan Hale going to grab that 3rd position. Looks like Matt Quick 4th, Kevin Freeze 5th, Kevin Hash in 6th. So it looks like they may have just locked up the top 6 spots here. But Dale, we're going to go back and we're going to watch this last lap, or not the last lap, but we're going to watch this approach here through the finish line because it was too close to call here as we come down the backstretch here. We'll take a look at it one more time here from our leaders here. All right, we're going to slow this thing down and watch from the camera here as they come out of the tri-oval heading to the start-finish line here at Talladega. Because I saw 0.00, so we got to see if we get to the thousands again. Oh, you see the 03 Kevin Hash, he gets a little bit of contact, but actually slides sideways somehow to hold on to it. But yeah, you can see right there, Raymond Rittenauer just barely ahead. But you see, yeah, Matt Quick and looks like Matt Quick and Kevin Hash are going to finish. I believe that's going to be 4th, either 3rd and 5th, or sorry, 4th and 5th or 4th and 6th. I'm not sure, 5th and 6th, sideways across the line. But man, that's a wild one there tonight.
Yeah, and like I said, somebody was gonna try to take it 4 wide, and just watching it doesn't even look like it was he intentionally did. Though 3 kind of washed up a little bit, and Jay Hilliard, didn't have anybody in front of him, so it kind of propelled his car forward a little bit and stacked everybody up. But I don't think we've seen a closer one in the Superspeedway series.
Yeah, that's been by far one of the closest finishes of the season here. So I'll say before we go through our interviews, though, let's go ahead and pull up our final results here of tonight. And it's going to be Raymond Rittenauer getting the win by 0.07 of a second over Gabe Butler. And then another 0.08 back to Dylan Hale there in 3rd. And you see Matt Quick, Kevin Freeze finishing 4th and 5th. Kevin Hash finishing in 6th, I believe, completely sideways, if not backwards. Jay Hilliard, again, he was in one of those last incidents. He got all the way up to 7th, so great recovery for him. Or sorry, in 8th, I should say. Jack Walls in 7th. And Jackson Holbrook in 9th. Bud Steele rounds out the top 10. And then 11th through 18th, you've got Charles Johnson, Quabi Brooks, Paul Sheldon, Sebastian Marin, Steve Korosek, Joseph Morales, Robert DuPont, and James Hickson. We'll keep running through our final orders for tonight. You got Robert DuPont in 17th, James Hickson, Eric Laurie 19th, Alberto Lopez 20th. Unfortunate early troubles for Jim Brooks as well. Wasn't able to recover. He finishes in 21st. Similar with Alberto Lopez with that pit penalty. So that really set him far back as well in that 20th spot. Then you got Todd Siebels, unfortunately. Then you got Bradley Green, Dave Thatcher, and Mark Mastrella in 25th. And so that is our final results for tonight's event. So we've got some drivers to chat with here, Dale, and we are going to kick things off with that number 4 of Dylan Hale.
Yeah, you actually have a question request before you
I saw that, yeah. So we got to ask Dylan here if it's going to be chocolate milk or orange juice. So say Larry's hitting the big questions here right off the bat. So
the people want to know.
I mean, I say, who are we not to allow one of our most dominant drivers to bring a question in here? So we're going to bring in that number 4 of Dylan Hale. So first off, I mean, awesome run tonight. You're right there in contention. You got that 3rd line rolling. Before we get to the race, though, we've got one of the most important questions I think that's ever been asked in the history of Green White Checker TV, and that is from Larry Yingling, which is going to be chocolate milk or orange juice.
Oh, orange juice any day.
All right, so there you hear it. Well, I'll say, is that going to be orange juice mixed with Gatorade, though, right?
Ooh, yeah.
You got to support the sponsor here. I don't want to put you in the
Orange
spot,
juice mixed
but
with Gatorade would probably be pretty good.
I mean, there's orange Gatorade too, so we'll get to that later. But man, I mean, you and Gabe and Raymond, I mean, you guys were running those top 3 grooves there. Those final felt like 10 laps at least. How tense was that? I mean, at one point we saw you just have the nose ahead at the finish. What was going through your mind there to see if maybe you could snag one from some of the toughest guys that luckily you get to race with as teammates, but also that you have to, of course, try to beat there for the wins as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tense. I mean, I've been retired from racing for 2 years, and this is only my 3rd race actually back. So to be up there like that was definitely an exciting experience. I'll tell you, I didn't even know Ray won. We came out of 4, and I saw Gabe. I didn't even see Ray. I had no idea. I thought Gabe had won the race, and I got second by a nose. And I was shocked, and I'm proud for Ray. I mean, he deserves it. He's a great racer.
Yeah, it was impressive to see Raymond hold on to that too. As I think he still had a little bit of nose damage even on that 87 car, so but he was able to keep that track position, keep it up front there. But I'll say kind of a tale of 2 races. You started towards the back there, opted not to put down a qualifying lap. I'm guessing try to keep that car safe till the end. But then we just saw a lot of stuff, especially that second pit stop. A lot of drivers having mistakes throughout the race. I mean, what was your game plan? I mean, did you have anything that kind of didn't quite go to plan that you had to kind of recover from, or was it mostly things went to plan for you tonight?
So that second pit stop, coming in, it hit the brakes and it just didn't stop. And then it didn't stop going into the pit box. And that got me behind the ball. And then we had that caution. And then I was pacing around and got a passing under yellow black flag when coming into the pits after not passing anybody. And so I had a wrench thrown in there at that point, and I thought it was over. And then came in, served the penalty, and then the caution came out. And well, there you know, I was right back up in contention. So it didn't go to plan at all, but I ended up where I wanted to in the end.
Yeah, it seemed like definitely things caught a lot of drivers out this evening. Like I said, second pit stop, it really caught a bunch of drivers out. First one, it seemed like it went pretty smoothly, but yeah, so we saw a lot of drivers making mistakes on the pit road entry. So not sure if maybe just that second set of tires or just the second heat cycle on tires, whatever it was, definitely seemed to catch drivers out on the entry for sure, though. But man, great drive back to get into that 3rd position. So get your first interview, like I said, in your 3rd race back. I think Gabe just edged you out for the highest climber tonight. But you did gain 15 positions from where you started. So I mean, overall, I'll say pretty hard fought, but well earned finish here tonight with that top 3.
Yeah, I'm absolutely proud of that top 3 tonight. I mean, I would love to win, but hey, to come back from retirement and finish top 3, doing better than what Larry would do in these races. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I say haven't been able to con Larry into doing any of these races yet, but we'll see if we can get him in the future. But man, just awesome job tonight here. Definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that 3rd place tonight?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I want to just give a shout out to Kevin Hash. Kevin's the one that convinced me to come back. He said, well, why don't you come run the Sunday night league? I'm an administrator for another league that runs on Mondays and Tuesday nights, and I haven't got behind the wheel in 2 years, and getting back behind the wheel, it's stressful. Stressful running 3 wide like that. I mean, my arms were shaking coming through turns 1 and 2 there on that last lap. Like whenever I got that shot from Kevin Freeze and I got shot in front, I was shaking to death and hoping and praying that something would go my way and I would win. But I just want to say thank you to everybody on that team there. Ray, Matt, both Kevins, Eric, Gabe. Like those guys are great, and I wouldn't be up there if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did a great job. I think you guys locked out the top 6 positions as well there. So a well done job by your team altogether as well. So I say enjoy this one. I'll say glad to have you in the behind the wheel again as well. Say this was definitely one I think I feel you there. I say I was very glad to be in the booth because man, just watching that I was tensing up myself. So but yeah, just awesome job. I'll say right there at the thick of it, just didn't quite get the momentum you needed there to get the win, but still a very, very well deserved finish there tonight, getting that 3rd spot.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, that is the number 4 of Dylan Hale. So now we got to switch over to, unfortunately, a little roughed up looking number 1 car here of Gabe Butler. I think that might be a little bit courtesy of the finish at the end. So we'll bring that number 1 in here. So first off, Gabe, surprised us a little bit with the decision not to qualify tonight. Start towards the back of the grid there. Didn't take you long to work your way up there, but I say obviously things didn't go quite to plan. I think we saw you and I believe the 53 have to kind of serve a pit penalty under one of the restarts there, but then that caution timing came out just about perfectly for you guys to get back into it. And then of course made that charge back to the front. I mean, how difficult was it for you to kind of try to work your way back to the front a couple times tonight?
I mean, it's difficult but doable. But that I was trying to start as far back as I could and try and get the most laps gained or something like that. Try to get a point for that. But yeah, I got really lucky on that pit penalty because I think Dylan pitted and a couple of us got black flags, and then we went to serve it, and the caution came out right after that. So you can't get any luckier than that.
Yeah, so it definitely worked out for the timing of the yellow, and then of course the next part of this one was, I mean, it's pretty much what we'll have to talk about is that you guys running 3 wide there for about the final 10 laps of the race. I was saying, you being in the middle, I mean, how tense is it for you? Because you know you got to make sure you give Ray enough room on the inside, and at the same time too, you know when Dylan's got the push, you got to make sure you give Dylan some room as well on the top side. I mean, how was it for you trying to manage kind of the gaps side to side to make sure nothing bad happens? And of course, let's say when you're getting those big pushes every swap from Hash behind you, to try to keep that car kind of pointing in the right direction and make sure that you guys are in a good spot there at the end.
It's not that difficult if you're the lead car in the middle. Kevin would have had the hard job there because he's completely surrounded and cars behind him. So I found it comfortable enough. But if it was the other way around. Now it would have been a little bit more tense. Like if I was in Hash's position, I was trying to push him. So he definitely had the hard part there.
Saying obviously, I think it was about 7 thousandths of a second between you and Ray there at the end. Were you able to tell that Ray had the edge just in front of you there, or was it kind of wait and see where it scored you at the finish there because you guys are just right there on top of one another?
Actually, I wasn't sure who got it. I didn't know if Ray or Dylan got it or me. But when I saw Kevin turning, I figured, well, it's either Dylan or Ray because I lost my pusher there. So, but I mean, overall, it was kind of fun. A little bit different racing tonight, kind of more aggression out there. Yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, it was definitely a busy one tonight. Sabe, you guys able to find your way back to the front again and get those great results, and for you getting that second place finish again, I think continues the streak of top fives if I'm not mistaken. So I think that puts you 8 for 8 here as well. I'll have to double check for sure on that. It might be 7 for 8. I'll have to check the numbers here later on. But just, yeah, I mean, awesome job though tonight, Gabe, and definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts for that second place tonight?
A huge shout out to the guys on Team Bootnaka. I mean, just fantastic teamwork again. We kind of got split up during the race, but we talked about it and we got ourselves back together and controlled the last 10 laps, I guess, 10 or 11 laps of the race. And so yeah, huge shout out to the guys and Area 51 for putting it on. Again, fantastic broadcast from you guys. We always enjoy it and love going back looking at it.
So I'll enjoy it, and get ready for playoff time next week. We'll be kicking things off for those final 4 races. Well, to see who those top 8 drivers are. Obviously, we know a handful of them already. We know for sure, obviously, you and Ray, and I believe the Kevins. So got plenty of friends and competitors there alike to join you in that one. But yeah, enjoy this one though, and look forward to catching you next week, sir.
All right, guys, thanks.
All right, Dale, that leaves us with our race winner in the 87. Looks like he actually caught a little bit of a shot there coming to the checkered flag as well afterwards. And look at the damage on the front of this car. So somehow, Dale, we're going to bring in our race winner in the 87, Raymond Rittenauer. Man, Raymond, I was skeptical. I thought there's no way this car is going to be able to lead the field here or even have a chance to try to pull off the win. But you got Matt Quick behind you pushing, and even with that nose damage, the left front damage, that car still is able to hold the speed to get the win. I mean, did you realize kind of how much damage you had, or did you feel like you'd still be okay with what it had on there?
We put special duct tape on that, and it was fine.
Yeah, I'll say, well, don't give out too many secrets. Those I'll say you're gonna have guys going after that Lucky Dogs duct tape for sure. But I mean, first off, awesome job tonight pulling off the win, and then, but yeah, to do that with the damage you had on that car, like I said, I really was like, okay, Ray's gonna have to get behind somebody and push, and then that whole last run, you held the inside line well. You had Matt Quick working with you, obviously, and you made it happen. It was 7,000ths of a second, but you got the win here tonight. Take us through the race, because it was obviously very eventful for you. I saw a little bit of rear damage early on that looked like you kind of just lived with there, and of course then kind of getting caught up in that little melee towards the end, but you opting to kind of stay on and keep that track position there.
Yeah, I think Kevin gave me a shot there early, gave me a little bit of rear damage, but it didn't affect me. And that I shot the middle there with Jack, and then Kevin kind of gave me a little shove up into him. So that was kind of unfortunate there. I didn't really want that to happen and wreck everybody, but I actually only got 11 seconds out of that. So the fender damage wasn't as bad as it looked. I got about 3 seconds of that fixed, and luckily it was pretty good out front. But heck of a job by Matt behind me, pushing me. Without him, I'd have never been able to keep it up there.
Yeah, you guys did an awesome job tonight. And like I said, and then of course the 3-wide battle. I say for you, of course, I'm sure there's a little bit of strategy for you, having to make sure you give Matt a little bit of room to kind of see where he needs to be hitting the turns and all that, so he doesn't go in completely blind. This obviously going to be your third win of the season going into those final four. I say, is it kind of same plan as usual, or any different thoughts of maybe just kind of minimizing bad races, or you think you just got to be up front controlling these things to try to get that title this season?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I haven't made a plan any of the races this year, so I'm just going to go with whatever happens. Yeah, whatever cards I'm dealt, we're going to go with that.
It's been working well so far this season, but just awesome job tonight, Ray. As they able to hold off the win there. They looked like it was going to be kind of just whoever got the best push at the end between yourself and Gabe and Dylan there at the end. Like I said, 7,000 between you and Gabe for you to pull off the win this evening. So, just awesome job, man. Congrats, and definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks and shots you'd like to give for that win this evening?
Yeah, I definitely got to thank Matt there for the push there at the end, and everybody else on the team. Everybody did a heck of a job there, top six. Everybody at Area 51 for all they do, and you guys for a heck of a job on the broadcast.
I will enjoy this one, Ray, and then get ready to not have a plan in the next 4 races, and maybe we'll see you with a championship here over at Area 51, sir.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Dale, there is our race winner in the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer getting the win tonight. Already was locked into those final 4 races. So waiting for the standings to fully update so we can find out exactly who it's going to be. But man, I think some of the additions of some of these new guys, it's definitely ramped up the intensity, it feels like, these last few races.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think with Ray winning, that should save Eric Laurie, which to me is good because he's worked super hard this season. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm really interested to see, because that Ray's won 3 of these races now, to see how this championship 8 stacks up.
Yeah, I believe it's gonna be a grain of salt here, but I believe this is gonna be our final standings going into the playoffs. So of course Raymond Rittenauer with the 3 wins, he's locked himself in. Gabe Butler, we mentioned him having the win, he's already locked in. Same thing with Kevin Freeze, Dale Willoughby, Dean Wilkinson with his win last week. Kevin Hash also having a win, and we have 2 spots getting in on points here, Dale. It's going to be Eric Laurie in the 071 and Charles Johnson in the 9 does get in. I believe he's the 8th person in on the points position, so I say Charles was able to do what he needed to. Looks like he was able to get around Todd Siebels by 6 points tonight. Unfortunately, that bad night for Todd dropped him out of that top 8, I think, and then Charles getting that 11th spot tonight, enough to bump him in. And of course, getting those laps led as well is huge for that number 9 machine as well. So it's going to be, like I mentioned, so it's going to be Kevin Freeze, Dale Willoughby, Dean Wilkinson, Raymond Rittenauer, Gabe Butler, Kevin Hash, Eric Laurie, and Charles Johnson will be the top 8 drivers battling out for the final 4 races to try to be the Superspeedway Series champion this season. All right, sir. With that, I think that is it for us. We're going to be back again, of course, on Tuesday. It's playoff time now at the Area 51. Got the opening playoff session on Tuesday for the Indy Series. Thursday, of course, for the Premier Series, and then we'll be back here again next Sunday, and we'll start the playoffs off as well for the Superspeedway Series. So, Dale, I say as always, it was a pleasure to have you in here with me. I say appreciate you making it back up here, even with your road trip. Hopefully we'll be able to catch as many races as I can with you, as I know you've got some work in real life coming up here pretty soon. So that being said, though, it's always been a pleasure to have you, and look forward to tomorrow once you get settled at the new place, sir.
Yes, sir.
As those for you that were watching, thank you so much for joining us here at Green White Checkered TV. And until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we will catch you on Sunday for the playoffs as they begin for the Area 51 League. Until then, have a good night, everyone.